In this class, we will introduce server deployment. There are 4 sections: deployment principles, deployment package, independent deployment, and embedded deployment. First, let's learn about basic deployment principles. The figure below shows how a deployed report project works. Step 1. Enter a URL in the browser. Suppose the URL is a request to view a specific report in the report project. Step 2. A web server, for example Tomcat, WebLogic, WebLogic receives the request from the browser and then judges the request. A web server cannot directly handle and return dynamic resources such as fetching data, data linkage, and others. So it forwards the request to the servlet container inside it, which then handles dynamic resources. Steps 3 to 5. Servlet here is a series of JAR packages developed independently by FineReport. JAR packages handle a series of operations required to generate report pages, including fetching data from databases, generating parameters to implement queries, generating charts to display data. Step 6. After servlet handles a request, accessible report pages are returned to the servlet container. The servlet container returns accessible report pages to the browser so that users can ultimately view the reports. Here, 3 methods of deployment are mentioned. The first is deployment package. In a deployment package, JDK, Tomcat, and FineReport project have been installed in advance. After unzipping, the deployment package can be used directly, free the need to deploy Tomcat. Independent deployment. Independent deployment requires you to download web application servers and JDK to configure the deployment environment. Afterward, you can copy FineReport project to the web application server. Embedded deployment. If you want to deploy the report project to an existing web project, you need to copy the report related files to the destination directory. There are requirements for web server and JDK. You may refer to this table. In this section, we will talk about deployment package. Let's go to the official website and download a deployment package. For here, we'll take Linux as an example. That before August 3rd, 2020, the Tomcat version will be 8.5.51, and after August 3rd, the package will be the version Tomcat 8.5.57, and the JDK is OpenJDK 1.8. The port is 8080. Now we have saved the package to app. Now let's open the commander. Use cd to enter the app file and use chmod 770 to give permission to this package. Then we will use tar/cxvf to decompress the package. Then let's refresh the page. The file is here. Let's take a look. Then we use chmod again to give permission to the file. Next, we are going to open the bin file under Tomcat Linux. And we will use this command to open the startup. And you can see Tomcat is started. Then we will use tail/f /logs/catalina.out to check the log file. After the Tomcat started, we are going to visit the platform after the deployment. And now let's enter the address. We enter IP and ADAT and /webroot decision and login and initialization. And now we need to log in with the administrator account. Finally, let's take a look how to stop the Tomcat. The first step is still entering the bin file. Let's shut down the file. And now we are not sure if the Tomcat has already been shut down, so let's check. And here is the Tomcat in progress. We need to stop the Tomcat by entering Q/9 and the numbers to stop the progress of Tomcat. And check it again. We can see there is one more, and we use Q/9 again. Now let's go back to the decision-making platform and refresh the page. Here we can't reach this page, so we already shut down the Tomcat. That's all about deployment package. Next, I will talk about Section 3, Independent Deployment. We need to configure the environment and copy web apps to the server, including environment requirement, environment configuration, copy web app, startup, and visit. Then we need to visit the Oracle website and download the Java Development Kit. For here, I will take Windows 64 as an example. You can download other versions according to your needs. You can find online resources about the JDK installation. We will not do further explanation. Then we can set the environment configuration. Let's click the System Properties and the Environment Variables. For here, we create a new system variables called Java Home, and we need to add the JDK we just installed, as well as the JRE. Then we need to find the user variables named path. And we need to add two environment variable named Java Home /JRE/bin and Java Home /bin. That's a modification to the variable path. Then we need to create a system variable named class path. And the variable value will be the following, which is Java Home Library dt.jar and Java Home Library tools.jar. That's all about the environment variable configuration. Now let's open the commander and enter Java version. And we can see here the Java version we installed. Enter Java C, and we can see this is our JDK configuration. The next step is to install Tomcat. On the official website, you can find the Tomcat package. We still use Windows 64-bit as an example. Then we need to do the environment configuration again. It's a similar process. There is a new system variable named Catalina Home, and the variable value will be the same as the package, Tomcat package. And under the path, we have two new environment variables, which is Catalina Home /bin and Catalina Home /library. After done the environmental configuration, we need to move the files we want to deploy to Tomcat. Here we open the Tomcat file, and we find the FineReport Web Apps web root. We copy this file to Tomcat under Web Apps. In order to solve the HTTP 500 error, we also need to copy the one file under Java to Tomcat. And we find the library under Java JDK, and here is the tools.jar. We copy this file and move it to Tomcat. library. And also to web apps, web roots, webinf library. We also paste the tools. And finally, let's try to visit the decision-making platform. And we start the Tomcat. And it shows the service status is started. Let's enter localhost 8080 to enter the decision-making platform. It's successful. That's all about the independent deployment. Next, we will talk about Section 4, Embedded Deployment, which is copy resources to existing web apps without any deployment package. There are a couple different ways of embedded deployment. The first is just directly copy the 7 folders: assets, assist, classes, embedded, library, plugins, and reportlets under FineReport Home, Web Apps, Web Roots, WebInf to Tomcat Home, Web Apps, Examples, WebInf. Another way is to copy files. Here is the files that must be copied. Under Library, there are the JAR package that start with fine, plus netty/or/xxx.final.jar and visualvm/xxx.jar. And the files under the directory assets. All chart resources are stored here, and under Assist, files in this folder store some auxiliary tools such as Python for new charts and plugins. This folder contains JAR package and configuration information for plugins, and under Reportlets, this folder is specified by the FineReport server. It cannot be modified and must be lowercase. Subdirectories can be created under this folder, and all report templates must be saved here. And here are some files that is optionally copied. For example, under the directory embed, it stores HSQL and auth configured information. It is recommended to be copied to WebInf. Otherwise, the deployed project will be viewed as a brand new project. Under the directory classes, this folder is specified by the application server. The main function is to store the class files. If you do secondary development, such as custom functions, program data sources, program network reports, you also need to copy the compiled class files to this folder. And under the directory database driver packages, if the database is connected via JDBC, you need to copy the corresponding database driver package, such as Oracle Database, driver OJDBC14.jar to webinf/lib. Also, we need to copy tools.jar from Java JDK and move that to Tomcat Web Apps, Web Roots, WebInf library, and Tomcat library. That's all for today's lecture. Thank you for watching.